What's up guys and welcome back to the Kamui dimension. Let's talk about Boruto chapter 72. I know it's been out for like a week, but I've been sick and lost my voice for several days, so rather than recapping every single panel, I'm just going to give you my thoughts about a few scenes. So we start off the chapter with Kawaki and Shikamaru talking about how Amado has an unknown motive behind restoring Kawaki's karma seal, and then Kawaki starts saying, well, who cares anymore since Amado is probably dead, and Naruto's like, stop it, Kawaki! But then Kawaki calls Shikamaru out, saying he's secretly glad that he doesn't have to deal with Amado being a Sazibaka anymore. And Shikamaru gets mad, and Kawaki says, worthless and upset, what a great combo. And then Naruto yells, Kawaki, that's enough! And I found that interesting. It seems like Kawaki's personality is changing to be a lot more harsh like he used to be when he first came to the Leaf Village. Probably either because he's now the strongest and feels like a boss, or because Ishiki's DNA or Karma Seal has been influencing him, or maybe both. And we can see how Naruto has to keep scolding Kawaki, and so we can see how this is starting to build that rift between Kawaki and Naruto in the Leaf. Then a man who looks kinda like Konohamaru if he was stoned out of his mind says that Amado is calling Shikamaru, and then Amado and Shikamaru talk on the telephone, where we see Amado, Eida, and Damon all in their fancy coats. As Amado and Shikamaru are talking, Amado explains that Eida cut ties with Code. She won't be aiding him anymore. He's lost his greatest ally. Shikamaru is amazed and asks how Amado pulled that off, but he just tells Shikamaru, I simply talked, and that he convinced Eida to side with Konoha, and that she's accepted Shikamaru's proposition. Shikamaru is shocked, but then he freaks out because he knows that Code had another strong partner, since he saw him whip out Damon against Kawaki, and Amado's surprised that Shikamaru knew about Damon, and Shikamaru is like, who and what is he? Are we supposed to take him in too? So Amado explains that Damon is Eida's little brother, and that they can't just invite Eida and expect her to leave him behind. Shikamaru and Amado then throw some jabs back and forth at each other, kind of just trying to see who's the smartest man in the room. And then Amado warns Shikamaru that he doesn't want these siblings as enemies. But then Amado lets the cat out of the bag that he made a little oopsie risky move as part of his master plan, saying, and one more thing, this is somewhat bad news, but I resigned Code's limiters. But Amado reassures Shikamaru that it's for the best because, while yes, Code is stronger now, he also lost Eida, which is actually a mortal blow to his battle strength. And since Eida and Damon are now on the Leaf side, Code isn't really a big deal. Amado then says to Shikamaru, you're good with game pieces, right? Well, the rest is in your hands. Eida then chimes in saying, who are you calling game pieces? And that's basically Eida letting Amado know that she isn't going to let Amado play Puppet Master on her, and instead she wants to be the Puppet Master using Amado. As she tells him, you better help play matchmaker with Kawaki, using that clever tongue of yours. And that if things don't go well with her and Kawaki, she's going to kill Amado out of spite. Amado is surprised by this, and Eida reminds Amado that she already wants to kill him for giving her this ability to enchant everyone. And then Damon says, so I'll be the one who's actually doing the killing, Again, implying to us that Damon is really the fighter between the siblings, while Eida is more the mastermind pulling the strings and commanding everyone. Eida then warns Amado that he better do his best for his own sake, and I like this back and forth with Eida and Amado trying to one-up and fool each other to be the better mastermind, which is why I made a whole video about that topic a little while back. Shikamaru then summons Naruto and Team 7 to the Hokage office, and then we cut to Boruto in his house. I'm like Hayate from the tuning exams. Hinata then starts talking to Boruto and starts crying because she's worried about him not coming home one of these times. But Boruto reassures her that it'll be fine, as he even died last time, but still came back totally fine. And we see Himawari listening to the conversation in secret. Boruto says he'll come back home no matter what, and that's a promise. Then when Boruto goes outside for his mission, we see Momoshiki appear in front of Boruto again, and this was the highlight of the chapter for me personally. Momoshiki says, you promised to come home, how irresponsible. Boruto asks why Momo is still sticking around since he can't resurrect anymore, to which Momoshiki responds, "Let me ask you, boy, why do you still cling to your meaningless existence when you know your future holds nothing but despair? I told you that you were going to lose everything. You shall despair, lose your will to live, enough to want to escape this world. And when that day comes, I shall take over and live Boruto Uzumaki's life for you." Boruto is then confused and angry, and Momoshiki says, "Don't worry, all you'll need to do is just cower quietly in a corner of your psyche for eternity. I do not care about resurrecting anymore, since possessing your body shall yield the same result. It'll happen soon enough, no matter what form it takes. You were always meant to be my vessel." Boruto then flips out and says he'd rather die than hand himself over to Momoshiki, to which Momo replies, "I will let you die, ever again. You are my precious vessel, my life. No one can have you." Boruto again gets mad and says that he'll make sure Momo never emerges again, and that Momo will be the one to despair in the future. But Momoshiki just says, "Sputter all you want, your fate is already decided. I look forward to it, Boruto Uzumaki." And I like this part the most because, for one, it brings Momoshiki into the story again as a villain. Second, it reminds us about his prophecy to Boruto and how that moment of despair is coming very soon, which I'm guessing will probably be right before the end of part 1. And it gives us an idea of what Momoshiki's plan is moving forward. It's not to resurrect using the Karma Seal anymore. It's to just forcefully take over Boruto's body, a lot like what Kurama was trying to do to Naruto back in the day, and how Orochimaru's immortality jutsu works. Sarada and Mitsuki then show up and Boruto keeps screaming at Momoshiki, which confuses Sarada, but Mitsuki is just like, "Even if he dies and comes back, or becomes Otsutsuki, Boruto will always likely be Boruto." And I'm gonna be honest and say, I'm just disappointed with the lack of importance of Sarada and Mitsuki. Like, they're hardly even characters in the manga anymore. So, we better get that Sage... I'm still high octane. We better get that Sage Mitsuki versus... Well, man, I can't talk. We better get that Sage Mitsuki versus Full Karma Kawaki battle at the end of part 1 that I'm hoping to see, and get a good scene with Sarada as well, or else these guys are just failed characters. I don't want to hear any, "Oh, they'll be good characters in part 2 nonsense. If they aren't getting any action or development in part 1, then they're just trash failed characters. But I hope that won't be the case. Himawari then confronts Hinata and asks, I was just thinking that if I became a ninja, maybe I could help Boruto out a little, or would you worry even more?" And I'm really happy to see Himawari say this. It looks like we're finally gonna start getting Himawari in the action as a ninja. And this just goes to show why the anime adds in all these extra episodes and arcs. Like right now, they've got the whole thing going on with Himawari and Kawaki in the anime right now. And it's probably setting things up a bit for what's to come with Himawari in the future. Granted, I haven't watched any of those anime episodes yet, because I'm way behind right now, but I have a strong suspicion that those episodes are meant to slowly build up Himawari's character and eventual ninja career. We then finally cut to Code and Bug, where they teleport to the Ten Tails dimension using Code's claw marks. Bug asks where they are, and Code explains that it's a place you normally can only get to using space-time ninjutsu, but he's an exception because he can come and go via the claw marks he placed when Jigen brought him there. Code then mentions how Sasuke can't come there anymore, which means at some point Eida must have informed him that Naruto and Sasuke got nerfed, otherwise I don't know how the hell he knows that. Or maybe it's because the anime had Jigen say that he changed the coordinates of that place. I don't know, one or the other. But then he says that Boruto and Kawaki are full Otsutsuki now and might master space-time ninjutsu soon. And so this place will no longer be secure. And that's an interesting point to mention. He included Kawaki with being full Otsutsuki, so either Code's just saying that because he's just considering Kawaki full Otsutsuki, even though they said 80%, or it's some translation error, or the Karma Seal is extracting more of Ishiki's DNA, which, honestly, I kind of figured it would. That's basically what I've been saying this whole time, is the whole thing, is Kawaki's gonna get more Ishikified, and get stronger through the Karma Seal progression. That's what he's doing. It's part of Amado's master plan, and blah blah blah. But Code knowing about that is interesting. Again, I don't know if Eida told him something, he's just guessing something, he's just capping, or if it's a translation error. But something's going on there. Anyway, Bug then asks what Code's plan is now that he's alone, since even after getting his full power back, he still got his ass whooped by Damon, and kicked out of his alliance by Eida. Code admits that Damon's strength was unexpected and that he was outclassed. Bug basically says, "I told you so," and Code's like, "You know, I'm pretty messed up over my broken heart. Could you try being a bit more sympathetic? Throw me a bone or two." Bug is confused and doesn't understand how Code is so nonchalant in these circumstances. Which, as a side note, that's something I really like about Code's character. He's so nonchalant a lot of the time, even when he's in tricky situations. Like when he almost got hit in the face by a vanishing Rasengan. Code explains that it's because things are actually just fine and dandy, and that he plans to adjust the Ten Tails into a more manageable size. He then wraps the Ten Tails in a bunch of claw marks, and we get a little more explanation of what Code's limiters actually did. And thank goodness, my hope actually came true. Code's limiters coming off didn't just give him a pure power boost and nothing more. Okay, it actually also improved his claw marks ability like I hoped, which was also limited. Code explains how the claw marks are made by mixing iron in his blood with his chakra, making them half material, half chakra, which he calls his secret weapon, and how there used to be a limit to how many I could put out at one time, but the restored me can create enough to completely enwrap this behemoth, a previously impossible feat. Bug asks why he's wrapping the Ten Tails claw marks, and Toad. I guess Code's kind of like a toad at this point, without worthless he is. Code says, "I told you, I'm gonna adjust it. Smaller and more useful." And that sounds like something Code would say if Eida was like, "Oh, Code, your pee-pee is way smaller than Kawaki's." Code would be like, "Well, mine's smaller and more useful." Code then explains how a Biju is a giant lump of chakra, so he's just splitting it up. Like how Hagoromo did on Earth when he created the Nine-Tailed Beast. The only difference is that Hagoromo created new personalities for the tailed beasts, rather than creating what seems to be mindless creatures under Code's control. And I can't quite figure out who these guys are reminding me of. I'm getting vibes of those weird slimy Genjutsu clones from Team Oboro in the Force of Death against Team 7, but they also remind me of Jigen. But they've also got dinosaur-looking bodies, and I don't know, this panel here with the Ten Tails dude in this pose just gives me a whole lot of deja vu from somewhere. Anyway, these guys can travel via Code's claw marks too, and Code can also see out of their bodies using his claw marks as well, making them very handy for spying and gathering intel. Code doesn't need Eida anymore, if he can just send these guys everywhere and look through all of their bodies to figure out what he needs to know without putting himself in danger. The chapter ends off with Code saying, "Well, Bug, they're much smaller and more useful, no?" With Code seeing out of the body of one of the Ten Tails creatures. So, this definitely was not one of the most eventful chapters, and it felt insanely short. So it wasn't exactly my favorite chapter, since not a whole lot went down or got built up, but there were a few things I really liked about it. I like Code staying nonchalant and setting up a new plan of action with the Ten Tails creatures, as the Ten Tails is something that's just been ignored for a while, and I wanted to see it actually play a bigger role than just to have it eat Boruto or Kawaki. I like Himawari considering becoming a ninja in order to help Boruto out. I like Kawaki's changing personality lately, which is definitely going to play a big part in his rift with the Leaf Village later on. And most importantly, I liked Momoshiki's conversation with Boruto, where he reminds everyone that the thing he's been talking about is coming very soon, and he also tells us what his plan is now. It's not to resurrect via the Karma Seal in the way he originally planned to. Now it's just to take over Boruto's body, a lot like what Kurama was trying to do with Naruto back in Naruto Shippuden and Part 1 and blah blah blah. I'm glad Momo isn't getting friendly with Boruto right now, and is still taunting him and talking shit and stuff. They're continuing to build up Momoshiki's character as an antagonist for Boruto, as well as this moment when Boruto will despair and lose everything, which makes me look forward to that moment more and more. And based on Momoshiki's dialogue, it sounds like he intends to try and take over Boruto's body after Boruto loses everything. Whether that means Momo will be involved in that moment, or if he'll wait to take over until after Boruto starts to despair, we'll have to wait and see. But I look forward to it. Hopefully, Amado, Eida, and Damon make it back to the Leaf by the next chapter, so that we can hopefully hear Amado's motives behind restoring Kawaki's Karma Seal, or at least we can hear him kind of cap and pretend on why he's doing it. I don't know. I want to hear something. As he promised to explain about it, anyway. I'm also looking forward to seeing how Kawaki reacts to seeing Amado again, his first interaction with Eida, and what Code's next plan of action will be. Will he start invading the Leaf Village, or will he continue to amass power and build his army? But I want to hear what you guys think. How'd you feel about this chapter? Let me know what you liked and disliked about it, and tell me your favorite scene in this chapter. Was it the Momoshiki scene like me, or something else? And also give me your thoughts heading into chapter 73. Let me know all that stuff in the comment section below. But that's a wrap on today's video, so thank you guys for watching until the end. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment, like the video, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!